All right, let's go live. Hi, everybody. I'm Dishan, and this is Open Office Hours for Monday, the 9th of July, 2018. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm up to and, touch on the value of openness. So this Open is an anchor of new enterprise that I'm kicking off. As I head into July, I'm focused on business building and rolling out a new offering. If you've been paying attention for the last year or so, and listening to me natter on about Node.js, the open web, open standards, open platforms, open governance. That's what you can expect from the enterprise. If you're interested in services, particularly, my plan is to start services led, but move toward a product base around the open web. So I'm very excited to share that journey with you and, help invest more in the space around open source. Today, software is eating the world, and it's a wonderful thing. I love creating software, creating experiences for folks, and the reality of today's software is that software is being eaten again by open source. So those of us who come from open source have a unique opportunity to apply our influence on the open source world, to share the experiences that we have with the broader tech community. And I think open source has some of the raw materials that allow us to really take and move tech forward. The mindset of technology is magic, and therefore we should let the tech bros go forth and create, and let them bear their magic. To hell with that. That's not a reality of the tech industry that I want to see advance and define the world that folks who come after me are engaging in. I participate in open source because that way I have been able to learn the most, and through that learning I've been able to grow my career, and through that growth I think it's important to give back. So there's a real life cycle of learning and sharing and growth that open source can provide. And we need to invest in it. We need to focus on the business principles of open source to ensure that the value that we get out of open source, the community that we grow in open source, continues to be meaningful and available to those who come behind us. So I mentioned I was going to talk about the value of openness, and in kicking off new enterprise, the experience of building a company has shown me the benefit of building culture and investing the time in defining culture. Building a enterprise around open source, open governance, and open standards. There's a lot of open in those words, and it seems only appropriate to focus on something around open as the central tenet of business. It's an area that collectively in software and on the web and in standards and in Node.js, we've struggled with. Open. What does it mean? Is it only the code that I write that is important, or is it all of myself, all of my personal limitations and faults that I bring to whatever situation I'm involved in? So in open source, we have existed for a very long time on pull requests are welcome. It's only the code that matters, and if you only were to write the right test and have a sufficient expression of the requirements, then that's good enough. And that belies the reality that open source is people. Open source is built on people, and the authors of open source are people, tend to be very opinionated, that want to get an idea out there. That then those individuals are often followed, and often distinct individuals, often followed by groups of individuals that are passionate about that project, and come in and excuse me, end up being the folks that maintain the project. And the one area that I have seen open source communities really thrive with and undervalue is the concept of caregivers. It's something that my nearly 10 years of being involved in Node.js, it's something that I have very often found myself in the role of caregiver, and helping those who are passionate about building open source find jobs, find opportunities to take care of themselves, their families, and continue to have the opportunity to apply that craft. And exploring the concept of open, I did evaluate transparency, and transparency is something that I actually find doesn't scale. I value transparency, and I think it's not a negative thing. But I found the concept of openness to be more pragmatic, more real, something that we can continue to follow and invest in for a long period of time. Transparency may involve revealing the secrets of others, doing business in the enterprise space. I am, constantly confronted with situations that are either NDA or very deeply sort of friend-DA, and there would be no expectation that in a relationship of trust that I would be invited to reveal any other part of the other person's story. So I can't be transparent about a partner in an ecosystem, but I can be open that I don't have the right to speak on that thing, and that's very nearly the same thing. And it breeds an integrity that in that case, if I didn't have the right to express on behalf of somebody else their their needs, their story, then I could express that. At the very least, I could express that I'm unable to speak on a topic because there's a third party that it's their story to tell and not mine. So with that, openness is this central tenet that I've chosen to hang everything off of, honestly, as I've been preparing for this moment, it's a bit scary. Approaching everything, with the mindset of openness is a daunting concept. I've shared numerous times with my wife that I'm honestly a little bit scared about it. I've gone through some things and tried to represent that, tried to make sure that I had the mental fortitude and the heart to push through that and make that a reality. So I see it as a gigantic challenge for myself, and an opportunity for all of the technology industry to explore this. I fundamentally think that the challenges that we've been experiencing in tech around harassment, around not creating diverse and inclusive environments, can be confronted best with openness. Openness often, will mean that we have to share that we don't know, have to share that we are wrong or are struggling. We may know what is the right path forward, but we may be struggling to either represent that ourselves. Like I was saying, the fundamental challenge of being that representative for those values is an incredible challenge in and of itself. So I'm looking forward to sharing this journey with you, and to continue to emulate those who have inspired me in my career, and share the journey along the way. It's a wonderful opportunity to give back and ensure that future generations are able to spend time in open source, invest in open source, and that future generations of companies that are deriving value from open source are contributing in meaningful ways to the future of that open source. So much of the past 20, 30 years has been defined by proprietary platforms, proprietary protocols, and increasingly all of that is now built on open source. And we will need to find the right ways to invest in open source, to invest in the individuals who make open source possible, and to create a new ecosystem of open software that we can all participate in. So thank you very much. Thank you for joining Open Office Hours. And tomorrow, there's Always Forward with Dee Shaw, so I won't be able to record at this time slot. And I hope you'll join us for a very interesting discussion around the topic of modules, ES modules, and JavaScript and common JS modules, commonly found in Node.js. Tara Manisic will be hosting this episode, and we will be joined by CJ Silverio of NPM, Miles Borns of Google, and Jordan Harbrand of Airbnb. So some great perspectives around ES modules, and look forward to sharing that with you, and hope to see you there. Thanks. Take care. Bye. Have a good one.